And we are now recording. Welcome, guys. Cheers and Merry Christmas. I'm going to be releasing this video on Christmas Eve. It is not Christmas Eve right now. It is 2 days before Christmas Eve during the recording of this podcast. However, I will be releasing it on Christmas Eve. So for those who celebrate Christmas Eve with me, because I celebrate on Christmas Eve, I come from an Italian family where we are too impatient to wait until Christmas Day to celebrate. At least that's how I was raised in my family. So I'm going to be feasting on Christmas Eve. So if you happen to be watching this on Christmas Eve and you're ready to party too, Merry Christmas and cheers. So before we get into the podcast, I just have a couple announcements to make. First announcement, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe on the subscribe button below. Also, hit the like button if you want to see more. And please don't forget to comment. I have a lot of friends who come to me down the road and they're like, hey, I saw you do this or that in your channel and I really like what you did here, or I like what you said there. And sometimes they'll even like message me on Instagram and leave comments. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, come on, just leave comment sections down below. I feel like some people are afraid that they're going to like seem creepy or something if they leave a comment. But honestly, you're really helping me if you leave a comment, because my goal for the 2021 New Year is to grow this channel. So if you leave a comment, that really builds a community. And also I want to connect with my audience as well. This isn't just about me. This is also about me connecting with you. And I want to know what's on your mind. I want to know, if you liked something I said, if you didn't like something I said. This is like a little weird, but I kind of like at some point I'm like ready for a negative comment. I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but like one thing I was thinking the other day is like, I feel like a mark of success in somebody's career is when they start getting negative feedback as much as they get positive feedback. I mean, hopefully the ratios are that, you get more positive feedback, but I feel like there isn't one successful person out there who doesn't have like a bunch of people trolling them. So I'm like, I literally prayed to God the other day. I was like, you know what, God, like I'm ready for some trolls. I think I can handle it. So I'm not saying to leave a negative comment necessarily either, but I'm just saying leave a comment, good, bad, anything you want, and I am ready for it. So that is the announcement. So now let's get into the podcast. I love listening to podcasts more than I love listening to any type of YouTube content. And it's so funny how just listening to a conversation, like in 2020 or soon to be 2021, it's almost like going to the zoo and watching animals. Like, because it's so rare that we get to have these conversations in our day-to-day life that it's fascinating to see people talk and interact with each other. So, where I'm going with this is that I want to make this channel authentic. I don't want it to be this like sugar, cookie cutter version of a YouTube channel. And I feel like in the beginning, that's kind of what I was doing because I was just afraid to be myself. I'm a little nervous today, but I'm a lot more comfortable on camera than I was because of podcasting. The cool thing about podcasting is that if you are the host of the podcast and it's your podcast, you don't really have time to think of yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't have time to worry about yourself because you need to comfort and be of assistance to the other person. So because of that, I kind of felt like it really taught me to be natural on camera a lot faster. Because a lot of times the guests were a lot more nervous than me. So I was like, whoa, like I don't have time to worry about myself. I have to help them. You know what I mean? So I feel like that really pushed me into becoming more comfortable on camera a lot faster and being more comfortable with the awkward pauses and everything like that. So anyways, that was like a little side tangent, what you can expect on these solo podcasts. One of my friends asked me the other day, like, what do you mean you're doing a solo podcast? Does that mean you're going to ask yourself questions? And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm going to do. And it kind of got me thinking, what is the difference between a podcast versus a YouTuber? And I had to really think about that because I'm like, yeah, that's weird. One would kind of assume that a podcast must have another person there and must have a guest there to interview. But that's not true because I don't know if you guys are familiar with Theo Von, comedian Theo Von, or also comedian Bill Burr. Both of these guys, they have, every now and then they will interview guests, but for the most part, they have solo podcasts. And so how would I like scientifically classify the difference between a podcast and a YouTuber and like a regular solo talk YouTuber at like the ones that I used to do on my channel? I I think the difference is that a podcast is I don't want to say less organized, because in a podcast, I do go in with bullet points and things that I want to talk about. Like here, I have a list of things in my head I want to talk about, but I feel like, man, I can't put it in words. You might have your bullet points, but it's more of an exploration of the mind. And in a solo case, it's more like I'm having a conversation to my audience. Like, this is a conversation to you. Yes, you're not here, but I'm talking directly to you, and I don't really have I'm not trying to sell you something, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Not that I'm saying YouTubers are always trying to sell you something, but by selling, I don't mean like selling money, which a lot of times they actually are trying to, but what I really mean by that is like selling a specific point. Like, for example, another talk YouTuber might be like, hey, come to my channel and I'm going to explain to you, like even me, okay, I'll use my own self as an example. I'm going to explain to you the 5 cons of coffee, or pros and cons of coffee. I can't even remember what I did, but that was like a specific selling point that my goal was to get to you on my video, to know these 5 points. But a podcast, I think, is more of an exploration of the mind, and it's a more in the moment type of thing. So even if you go in with your bullet points and the things you want to say, it's less structured, and there is more freedom to move around and talk freely. And obviously, I really love interviewing guests, and it's a lot more fun for me to speak with a guest on a solo podcast, in a group podcast. But I don't know. I kind of like this too. This is interesting. I definitely like this a lot better than the specific types of videos. So anyways, so with that being said, I did have a couple things on my mind that I wanted to talk about in this podcast. The first thing I want to talk about, and I just want to get this first out of the way before I get to the other stuff, the fun stuff. So a lot of people are probably wondering, that are my close friends, or people that just know me and follow my social media, even if you're not my close friends, you're probably wondering, hold on, the neighbors are yelling at each other. You're probably wondering why I moved out and why I suddenly live by myself. And some people are probably scratching their heads like, wait a second, didn't she have a boyfriend? So yes, I'm going to answer that question so I can kind of clarify this with everybody, because honestly, I'm tired of answering the question to everybody in my life. So it's kind of easier for me to just like say it on this channel. And then if another person asks me, I'll be like, here's the link to the video. Just shut up and watch this. So me and my boyfriend broke up. We were together for 4 years. We're still best friends. We talk on the phone every day. I don't want to spend too much time on this podcast, but I do want to address it because, like I said, a lot of people are confused and curious, and a lot of people are like confused what's going on, why did we break up, all that kind of stuff. They kind of had like the idea that we were this like picture perfect couple, so it's kind of a shocker to friends and family and my students and everything like that. So I just kind of wanted to put this out there. Like I said, we are very close friends. Pretty much best friends. We talk on the phone every single day. We text almost every day. We were together for 4 years. We were together for a long time. But after being together for a while, we both kind of came to the realization that what we had was special, but it was a special friendship and it wasn't a special romantic relationship. So again, it's that simple. Was it hard to go through the breakup? Yes. And to be completely honest, I don't mean to sound harsh towards him because, I love him as a friend. He's a great guy. He's an amazing guy. But I knew that wasn't the relationship for me towards the end. And I knew it was the right thing. And I felt happy ultimately to be out of it. It was rough for a couple of weeks just because of the transition of moving and not knowing where I was going to live and everything. But it was rough. And the funny thing was, even though I knew it wasn't the relationship for me, what was rough about it was like the feeling of letting other people down. And I know that seems stupid, but I'm just being completely honest. That was my honest feeling about the situation. I wasn't completely wrong. Like, my niece and nephew were like crying. I'm exaggerating. They weren't actually crying, but kind of like they were whimpering on Christmas. Like, where's Uncle Robbie? What happened? You know what I mean? So I felt, I don't know. I felt like, even though I wanted to leave the relationship, I felt like it was going to be a letdown to my family. to my students, because like we share students. We share mutual, like he might have a student where his brother plays guitar or something, and, you know, the sister sings or whatever. Like we have like students like that where like they used to come to our house, and so they're actually all online now, so a lot of them still don't know, but I feel like when they find out, it's going to be a shocker to them. They're going to be like upset about it. But it's crazy. Like, I know it's not the right relationship for me, but I still like carry the burden and fear of disappointing everybody else. And like, yeah, just like a quick side tangent about that I was thinking about too this week is like, I feel like the message out there is like, never care what other people think, but so many of us do. And that quote wouldn't exist if so many people didn't care. Like the person who wrote that quote at one point cared about what people think, and that's why they wrote that quote. And, you know, I'm trying to come to a place of not judging myself for being that way and for caring what other people think about the situation. I'm trying to just like purely analyze it from a non-judgmental point of view. I think it's human instinct to care what people think. I think it's very common to care what people think. I think that quote, what the quote should really be is, you're going to care what people think, but don't let it dictate your decisions. I think that's what the quote should really be. So yeah, side tangent. That was kind of like on my mind about like, I was having the initial feeling of like caring what other people think, and then I was having like the shame of feeling stupid for caring what, you know what I mean? So I kind of had to like talk that out with myself to justify that. But anyways, yeah, I was really afraid of letting other people down by breaking up with him, because so many of my family members liked him and my students, and it seemed like this picture perfect relationship. But like I said, what we had was very special, and it was a special friendship, and that's what it was. And yeah, I mean, I don't really want to get into too much detail about it because there really isn't much else to explain but that. If anything, I will probably transition now to talk about what I learned from the relationship, I guess. So that would be a good thing to talk about. One thing I learned is be really cautious about moving in together with your partner, because once you move in with somebody, it's not sexy. Like, make sure you enjoy the honeymoon period of your relationship, because once you move in with them, that, I don't want to say it goes away, because I'm not in the house of every single relationship. I'm sure there are very happy marriages and couples who are able to reignite that romance. But personally, what I found was that we moved in together way too fast, and we never got to really experience like a honeymoon phase of the relationship. And I think that's why we became friends and not lovers, not romantic lovers, because I think that, I don't know, when you live with somebody, like when you move in with a guy or a girl, whatever, whoever you are watching this channel, you kind of have this fantasy in your head that you're going to be like making love and, kissing under the mistletoe on Christmas, or, whatever, this romanticized idea about what living with somebody is going to be like. But the truth is, you're going to be doing the dishes together. You're going to be grocery shopping together. You're going to have to wait for the other person to finish taking a shit because you have to take, it's not sexy. But it's also beautiful. Like it's also a beautiful thing to know somebody on a deep level in that way. I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but I'm just saying, like, in a relationship, definitely take your time and really enjoy and again, I'm kind of giving myself this advice, but I also think it's useful advice for other people. Take your time and enjoy the relationship. There is no rush to move in together, because trust me, when you move in together, a different level of the relationship happens. And I believe that one of the things that you need to lock down before moving in together is a strong, like, bond, like that has anything to do with dishes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think you need to develop a strong friendship before you get into that situation. So yeah, I think that's like one mistake where I went wrong. And another thing, if you're thinking about moving in with somebody, go on a vacation with them for 2 weeks or even 3 weeks first, because you'll save yourself the trouble. I think that'll be enough time to like really know what they're going to be like to live with them. Because, you know, living with somebody, and that's true for friends too. Like, I don't think I would ever go in business with a friend or a family member or anything like that. Living with people and working with people you love, it might seem great, you know, to be around with them when you go out to a restaurant, but living with them and working with them is a totally different thing. So just be really cautious of that. That would be my advice to myself in the future and to everybody else out there. What else did I learn from the relationship? I also learned that I didn't just learn this from this relationship. I learned it from multiple relationships, but especially on this one. I think a lot of time, and me and my dad were talking about this, and my dad is much older and wiser and has been through a divorce and all kinds of relationships before me. So I trust his insight, and because insight, man, I want to work on my diction. I have terrible diction in singing and speaking, but like sometimes I listen back to my podcast and my pronunciation is terrible. So don't mind if I self-correct my pronunciation, because I know I can be a little sloppy. But yeah, where was I going with this? Me and my dad were saying that there is, in every single relationship, there is a power dynamic. And the key is to balance the power. Specifically with men and women. I mean, I find with women and women, there can be like cattiness and a power dynamic as well. And I'm sure with men and men too. I typically see that men and men in friendships tend to like buddy up and get along a little more than women and women. But men and women, I do feel like there's something about their dynamic that it's very much like there's always one person that's kind of like the boss of the relationship, wears the pants in the relationship, so to speak. And I think one of the goals in the relationship is to give each other space and give each other freedom and to balance that power out. You know, there shouldn't be one person always making all the decisions. And also along with that, there should be a balance of duties. Like one person shouldn't be putting all the work into the relationship either. So I don't know. It's just something to think about. If you are in a relationship, or if I ever get into a relationship again, I need to work on balancing the power out. I'm just going to be completely honest. I definitely feel like I could be the pants wearer a lot in my relationships. And I think, and me and my dad were talking about this too. I think that a lot of women can get bossy when the man comes across as like a nice, like too nice. And again, it's like, you know, lately I'm on this kick of analyzing a human behavior without judgment, because all of this is animalistic, and it's not like men are bitches or men are, or, you know, women are bitches and women are cunts and men are scum. Like I feel like we analyze the characteristics of men and women and then we give it a bad label. I'm not giving it a bad label. I'm just analyzing it and seeing it from a purely animalistic perspective. I do notice that if a guy is too nice, and I do it, and it's not just me, if the guy is too nice, the woman will become bossy. And I don't think women want that. I think the reason why women do that is because they're testing the man, because they want him to slap a bitch. I'm just kidding. They don't want him to slap a bitch. But you know what I mean? Like they want him to stand his ground. You know what I mean? They want him to stick up for himself. So if a guy comes across as too nice, that's a turnoff for a woman, and she's going to then hold the power in the relationship. And I find that I do that. So either I need to, in my future relationships, I need to cool it, or I need to find a man who like sticks up for himself. You know what I mean? A man who's gonna not put up with my shit. Because if a man comes across as weak to me, I'm gonna. By the way, I'm not saying my ex-boyfriend was weak. That's not what I'm saying at all. Because he's not. I've learned this from multiple relationships. But yeah, I've noticed that I need to cool it, or I need to find a relationship where I feel like the man maybe has like I think I would like the man to have a little more power than me. But then here I'm going to contradict myself. At the same time, one thing that I loved about our relationship was that, and then this is something that I learned from this relationship, is that going into my next relationship, I will not settle for a jealous man. My recent ex, my friend Robbie, he is not a jealous guy, and it is the most relieving, wonderful thing. And it's probably why I stayed in the relationship for so long, because he's the first guy I've ever been with that wasn't extremely jealous. No, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I've been with other guys that weren't extremely jealous, but I would say a lot of the guys I've been with were very jealous. Some were jealous over ex-boyfriends or other guys, and others were jealous over what I did with work and stuff like that. Not Robbie. I could talk about an ex-boyfriend. I work in a male-dominated field, 2 male-dominated fields. I started doing stand-up, which is very male-dominated. I work in music. I have a lot of male friends. I've only had one female on my podcast so far because, like I said, the fields I work in are very male-dominated. Not once did he not trust me. Not once did he question me, and vice versa. Because he was so trusting of me, I was so trusting of him. I never worried about him. There were times where I would kind of pretend to worry just to like I said, I can be the bossy type. But really at the core of my heart, I knew that he was never going to cheat on me, and vice versa. I never cheated on him, even though we didn't, like I said, we didn't have a strong romantic bond with each other. You would think that I would cheat on him, but 4 years I never cheated on him. And it was because this trust that we had with each other was so important and so big that I realized that every relationship should be like this, and of course there's going to be little bits of jealousy. I think some jealousy can be a little bit hot and a little bit sexy, depending, if I was out and a guy was checking me out and my man got a little defensive, I think that's hot, because it's just I feel like I'm being protected. I feel like it's a watchdog protecting me. So that's a cute, sexy, playful type of jealousy. That's totally different. But I feel like the type of jealousy that's bad is if you're not allowed to hang out with your friends, or you're not allowed to work in comedy or music because they're afraid that you're going to hook up with somebody late night, or, stuff like that. In a relationship, you need to be yourself and you need to be an individual. If that relationship is hindering you from pursuing your hopes and dreams because they don't want you to be around guys or whatever like that, then that's not the right relationship for you. And again, I'm kind of talking to myself here, giving advice to myself, but hopefully you guys can take some advice from that too. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about with the breakup and the things I've learned going through the breakup and what I want in my next relationship. Honestly, I'm in a place now where I don't think I even want a relationship for a very long time, because I feel very self-focused right now, and I feel like I really want to put a lot of work and effort into my podcast and my career and my YouTube channel and everything. And I think that, like I was saying before, it takes a lot of work to be in a relationship and to foster that intimacy and that romantic connection and all those things you have to put in. I don't have time for that right now, and I don't want to make time for that right now. So it's actually, I think, a really good thing that I'm single right now. So yeah, I think it's funny, the way life works though is that when you want a relationship, you can never find the right person. But when you don't want a relationship, I feel like that's when people are just gonna come out of the woodwork and all kinds of people are gonna be approaching me. I just feel like that's the law of nature. That's always what happens. So I feel like I'm gonna have to be very combative and swat people away from me, because I'm in a situation where like I said, I really want to focus on myself and I don't want any distractions. So I feel like that's going to be a challenge over the next year. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, and I talked about this on my Instagram channel. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at Pranzata, Pranzata. If you don't follow me, is what I meant to say. If you don't follow me, again, you can follow me at Pranzata. I'll include my Instagram name in the video, so you can copy it down if you want to follow me. I recently posted a workout challenge that I completed, a 30-day workout challenge, which I'm very excited to talk about and share the details of that with you guys. If you want to see the results of my physique, I'm not going to strip naked on this podcast to show you that. So you can look on my Instagram, like I said, Pranzata, and you can see my fitness results, and I'm wearing an alluring, gym outfit, showing off my results. But yeah, let me talk into more detail about what I did there in case anybody else is looking to get fit for the new year, and it offers, some kind of advice to you guys. So for 30 days, I did HIIT cardio. For those of you who don't know what HIIT cardio is basically a type of intense workout that doesn't use weights. I mean, it can use probably really light weights, but it doesn't use heavy lifting weights. And it's focused more on using your own body weight and doing things fast, like cardio, you know what I mean? So for example, jumping and squatting. They call it jump squats, where you jump in the air and you squat. Burpees, I'm sure a lot of you know what burpees are. It's kind of like you jump in the air and then you do a plank and a push-up and jump. So it's a lot of using your own body weight combined with fast cardiovascular movements. So it's pretty intense. It's funny, I used to be a weightlifter, I don't want to say a bodybuilder because I didn't have the intention of becoming huge or anything like that, but I had the intention of lifting more and more weight each time. So in a sense, I was kind of like a bodybuilder. I was behaving like a bodybuilder, but I didn't want to grow huge. I just wanted to be fit. So I used to do that, and I find HIIT cardio way harder, and I'm not using any weight at all. You can use weights. You can use 1 or 2 or 3 pound light weights, but I didn't choose to use any weights during my 30-day HIIT cardio. I did all just body weights, push-ups, jump squats, burpees, jumping jacks. Jumping jacks would be a HIIT cardio because, again, you're not using weights, but landing on your feet, you're kind of using the muscles of your legs and everything. So, yeah. So some of them I wrote a plan myself. And then some of them I use YouTube directed teachers to do them. I did it for at least 30 minutes a day. So 30 minutes minimum. There was definitely times where I did 45 minutes for sure. But I really gauged how I felt each day to figure out what I wanted to do the next day. So for example, if I was feeling really alive and ready to go, I would do an intense 40-minute hardcore workout. And then on days where I kind of felt because you don't want to hurt yourself 30 days in a row. By the way, quick side note, I don't recommend doing this program if you don't already have a base level of fitness before that. I've been doing fitness challenges pretty much every winter for the past couple years, and I definitely didn't start this way. I think I did a walking challenge the first time I did it. I would literally go to the mall, the mall near my house, and I would wake up at 7 a.m. and I would walk with old people, not literally with them, but all the old people would be there and I would be there doing the same exact thing, just walking first thing in the morning with the mall joggers, So that's where I started. That was a couple of years ago. Like I said before, I used to weightlift, but then I had an injury. I had a pretty bad injury, which I'll probably talk about in a different video in more detail, but we're cutting the time. I'm actually really shocked that I've been talking for this long. I shouldn't be shocked because I like to talk a lot, but I was I hope I have enough content to fill out the time, but actually I fill out the time pretty fast. But anyways, I used to weightlift, but I had a bad injury. Like I said, I will talk about it in another video. So after I had that injury, I was really cautious about working out. I took about 2 years of rest from working out. And when I went back into it, I did not have the strength to just go right back into weightlifting. I had to basically rebuild myself. So I pretty much started with walking. And I think my first challenge I did was walking. So if you want to do a 30-day fitness challenge and you're just not at the level to be able to do HIIT cardio, that's totally okay. You can get there in a couple years. Like at the next challenge, I recommend starting with a walking one. And then maybe the next time you do one, you can do yoga. And then maybe you can do Pilates. This is literally actually exactly what I did. I started with a walking challenge. The next winter, I did a yoga challenge. Then I did a Pilates challenge. And now I did a HIIT challenge. So it took me years to be able to get to a level of fitness to be able to do that. But where I was going with this is that even though, like I said, I used to be a weightlifter, this was so much harder. It was insane. But at the same time, I was at a level of fitness where I can handle it. But I felt like HIIT cardio truly made me strong, you know? Like I feel like with weightlifting, if you're not careful, you can have this like false sense of strength because you're building your arms and you're building your thighs and you're building your legs and everything like that. But you'd be surprised how mentally easy it actually is to lift weights versus doing cardio. I find that lifting a heavy weight, it's more like I don't know, because you get to rest in between. Like they suggest that you rest for like a minute or so in between. So it's kind of just like, all right, I'm going to do this. And you just do it. And I feel like with weightlifting, it doesn't burn till later. That's just my opinion. I don't know. It doesn't, even though weightlifting works, it doesn't feel that hard to me for some reason. It feels easy for me. And then you feel like sore later. But I feel like you can accidentally have a false sense of strength because you're building your muscles, you're having these, but you're not really doing much to work on your core, and you're not really doing much if you're not careful. And I mean, if you're a really experienced weightlifter, this isn't true, but if you're not careful and you're not really mentally challenging yourself, you could have this like false sense of strength. And I don't know. I think it's really good to combine different workouts throughout your week and not only focus on just weightlifting, because again, like on the outside, I appeared so strong, but eventually I kind of crumbled and hurt myself. In this case, I feel like I was able to jump around for 30 days. And as long as I listened to my body and adjusted accordingly. So like if I had a lot of energy one day, I would just kind of go all out. And then if the next day I felt like a little bit sore, I would do a lighter cardio. I feel like with the low impact HIIT cardio, you're still getting like a really good burn, but you're just not jumping around as much. But as long as your heart rate is still going, you're still getting a workout. So don't be fooled by the title of low impact HIIT cardio. It's low impact on your joints. It's not low impact on your actual cardiovascular system. It's actually pretty intense. So along with the fitness program, I also had a nutrition program to go along with it. And the nutrition program, it consisted of 30 days, no dairy, no gluten, no added sugar, and one cheat meal dinner per week, which I was doing it on Fridays, and then I switched it to Thursdays because it was like better for my schedule. And during the cheat meal, I was allowed to have 2 glasses of red wine and 1 dessert of any, and during the cheat, I could literally have anything I wanted. So the dairy and the gluten, it's a cheat meal. I could have whatever I wanted, any dessert I wanted. I usually had ice cream because that's my favorite dessert. So even though I had the option to have whatever I want, I found that I was always sticking to ice cream just because I like it. I really recommend doing some type of 30-day program like this because I was saying this on my Instagram. I really feel like, we all want confidence and we all want self-esteem, but I feel like how are you going to develop that confidence and that self-esteem if you're not doing any esteemable actions? I feel like by showing up every day, you're kind of building a relationship with yourself. Like you're proving to yourself that you are worthy. I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but I just feel like there's something so special about building that rapport with yourself, as opposed, it's kind of like showing up for the teacher. Like if you're taking piano lessons, you show up for the teacher, and if you're a good student, the teacher then loves you and respects you back. So it's kind of like you are the student and the teacher for yourself. So by engaging, in this 30-day program, I felt like I really built my confidence up, and I feel like I did have a really big transition in my physique. I wasn't necessarily like overweight before. I was always a pretty thin person, but what happened with me was when I was going through the breakup, I had to then like pick up my shit and figure out where I was going to move really fast. So during that time that I was like focusing on like really quickly finding a solution to where I was going to live, because the breakup kind of was sudden. We were together for a long time, but when we decided to break up, it was like a very sudden thing. It wasn't really a planned out thing. So a lot of my mental focus was towards like finding a place to live, and that was really everything I was focusing on. So before that, I was pretty good with my dieting and my workout regimen, but I would say, we still lived together for 2 months while we broke up. So during that 2 months, for some weeks, I just stopped working out altogether. And I was a lot more lenient with my diet. Like I was always pretty strict with my diet, but I just like started eating a lot of like sugary things and carb things and desserts, like stuff that I would never eat. Like, you know what I mean? I've always been a very like kind of a health nut and like very strict with my diet. So I didn't really gain weight because, like I said, I'm not a big person. Like I'm a small boned person. So I'm the type of person that if I gain weight, you don't really notice it like on my face, because it all goes to my stomach. So I can dress in a way that kind of like hides it, because I like I said, I'm just a small bone person. So like I always have these like collarbones sticking out, and like I have tiny wrists and everything like that. But like I could get like my body composition could be high in fat. It's just that the fat goes in areas where I'm like able to kind of hide it. So I could legit gain 50 pounds and I would like on camera, I would look exactly the same. Like that's the crazy thing, because I remember like one time I did lose like 40 or 50 pounds, and I told everybody that I worked with at the time. I was working at this music studio, and they were like, "You did? Like you were like skinny before. How did you lose 50 pounds?" And I'm just like I said, I have like a skinny face and like skinny hands and skinny wrists. So if I dress the part, I could like just kind of like look skinny. So I don't know. So yeah, like I said, it's not like I was huge or giant before. It's just that I fell off my diet and I fell off my, my workout regimen and everything like that. So I felt like I needed to do something to kind of like whip my ass back in shape, so I could prepare for the new year. So that's what really prompted me to do it, because one, I do it every year, and two, I felt like I really, really needed it now. So that's why I really went for like something a lot more intense, like the HIIT cardio. So I definitely recommend doing it. What I will say by the end of it is that I noticed a huge change in my physique. Like I said, I wasn't huge before, but I was just like, you'd be surprised. Like it only takes a couple weeks to get out of shape if you're in shape. Like, I think it'll take longer to gain weight, but I think you can get a beer gut in like 2 weeks. I'm just saying. I think like that's like the first place that you start to see weight, when you're not taking care of yourself as much as you used to. It's so easy to get a gut. And I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to improve that and feel more confident about myself. So I think that was the main thing that I noticed, was that like my waist shrunk. But other than that, like I looked pretty much the same. But the thing is, like I felt so much better. When kids like, when you're like hanging out with kids, if they're like your niece or your nephew or your students, and they're like jumping on the walls and like yelling and screaming and running around the place, and you're like, dude, shut the fuck, like you want to kind of kill them, you want to strangle them, you're like, shut the fuck up. Towards the end of my 30-day challenge, I lived by myself in my apartment. I started like jumping around like a kid in the middle of the day for no reason. And I actually ended up FaceTiming my ex Robbie, the one I was talking about that we just broke up, and like just because I needed to like share it with somebody. I was like, this is insane. Like I just like I have so much energy. I have an abundance of energy. Like it was like I felt like a kid, and I really think it's because like all the work I put into my diet and my exercise. I think it just gave me this like huge like boost of energy that I almost felt like I was going crazy. Like it. it's so normal to be like sick and sad and depressed these days, especially in 2020. Like it's so normal. Like there's so many things draining our energy, you know? There's so many things draining our energy, from like the internet to the amount of work we do in the United States. And there's just so many things that we do that we don't rest and stuff like that. So I feel like as adults, like it's so normal to feel drained. So it was like concerning it was concerning to me to feel energy, like, which is stupid because I should be like, sorry about that, guys. I feel like my iPhone's coming to that time where it's like, I feel like iPhones randomly just start glitching themselves so you can buy a new one. I feel like my phone's getting to that point. I feel like they're programmed to do that. So you could spend money on a new one, even though the one you have is perfectly fine. They just want you to go and buy the next model. So I was recording the video and it just randomly shut off. And my phone's been doing that weird glitchy stuff. So I had to start a new video completely. But I feel like it probably was barely noticeable anyway, so I didn't need to announce that. I could have just edited that part, but just wanted to let you guys know what happened. So where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about all the energy. Yeah, like I was saying, it's so weird. It feels so weird to feel good, you know? And that's a weird thing to say, but like I said, it felt like I was going crazy, like I was going insane. Like I just had all this energy, and I'm happy now. Like in hindsight, I'm like, wow, I want to keep doing this, because now I can, rather than just like being like a child and randomly jumping around my house with zero intentions, I can now, when I'm feeling that boost of energy, like after working out or eating right and feeling good, I can now channel that energy into doing content. I'm very excited to tap into this extra energy like I do after my workouts now. And the workout journey is not over here. So what I did was get my ass back into gear and ready for 2021. And now it's not like, okay, go back to just eating all the bread and donuts that I was before. Now it's like, okay, I'm in a good place now. Now I can slowly build from here. I don't need to be as intense. So I think I'm actually going to keep the same diet, like with the no gluten, no dairy. And what I'm going to do instead this time is, rather than having one cheat day a week, I'm going to have 2 cheat days a week. And one cheat day won't be as like big as the other one. Like one of my cheat days is like all out, like drinks, desserts, like dinner, whatever you want. The other cheat day, I think it's not going to have like the dessert, but I think it's going to just be like a little more lenient with my diet. Like, okay, you could have cheese on this meal or something like that. Like it's going to be like a cheat meal, but like kind of like a timid one, not like an all out one. You know what I mean? And my new alcohol thing is, I'm going to still have my alcohol with my Thursday cheat day, but I'm also going to have alcohol like I've been having now. You haven't known. Actually, yeah, I did cheers in the beginning, so I guess you did know. I'm going to allow myself to have alcohol when I podcast solo or when I podcast with a guest. So, like I said, it's not like over. I'm not just going to give up on my nutrition plan. I'm just going to alter it and make it a little less strict now, so I can still build, but like at a more steady, easygoing pace. Fitness, I'm not going to be working out every day anymore. My body needs a rest. This is my first rest day, thank God, in 30 days. So going forward from here, I think I'm going to, instead of working out every single day, I think what I'm going to do is do like a 5-day-a-week program. And instead of just doing HIIT cardio, I'm going to combine maybe like 2 days HIIT cardio, 2 days weights. I do have some like weights over here in my house. Like I'm just working out from home now. I'm not going to the gym anymore. And then maybe like 1 day yoga, and then 2 days resting. So I think that's like a really solid plan, because it's kind of like covering all grounds. Like I'm incorporating weights again, but not being only weights. And I'm putting that yoga in once a week for like joint stability. And like, I feel like yoga is like a really good way to like internally strengthen yourself, and it really helps the other stuff. So yeah, like I said, it's not over. It's not like you just do the fitness challenge and then you go back to your normal life. It's the fitness challenge is like a really good push to then get you back on track to a more reasonable plan. So yeah, if anybody like has any questions about my 30-day challenge, feel free to message me on Instagram, or, you know, if you have questions about anything, if you have any suggestions about, like I said before, put your comments in the comments section below, not my Instagram. I take that back, because a lot of my friends do that. They'll communicate with me about my podcast on my Instagram. And that pisses me off because, you know, it helps me a lot when you comment in the comment section below. So yeah, if you have any questions, ask them in the comment section below. And I don't know, I really, like I said, I really, before I did talk to a couple of friends about this when I was posting my like pictures of my 30-day challenge. I posted it every day because I wanted to like hold myself accountable. I wanted to be like, no, I'm going to do this every day. And by posting about it, it's kind of like me holding myself accountable. I'll feel like an ass if I don't post one day because I announced that I would, kind of thing. And I was definitely really concerned, like if I was coming across too strong. Am I upsetting someone who's depressed during the quarantine and doesn't have the energy to work out? Am I coming across as arrogant? You know, there was all kinds of like thoughts running through my head about doing it and like feeling bad, like I was gonna piss people off or come across as like too crazy or too intense sort of thing. But to my surprise, a lot of people reached out to me and were like, hey, thank you so much. Like I started running again, you know? So that really honestly like warmed my heart. That really, cause I'm sure I actually did piss some people off. Like I feel like I said earlier in the podcast, I feel like there's no way to reach success without having not everyone's going to like you is what I'm saying. You know, I just literally like bit this while I was trying to talk. Not everybody's going to like you, you know? If you do something good and you put yourself out there, you are going to piss somebody off. But I made another post about this on Instagram recently. It makes so much more sense just to be yourself and risk pissing other people off, because this is like a natural filter of who should be in your life. Because if you're going to be yourself and people are going to hate you or be mad at you, then those aren't the people that you jive with. You know what I mean? And then the people that you inspire, those are the people you jive with. So I've been kind of realizing that more lately, is that I can't worry about pissing other people off, you know? I mean, and honestly, I feel like everybody's kind of worried about that these days. I feel like because of cancel culture and because of everything going on with like people getting canceled for the wrong things they said and the mistakes they made, and getting ostracized for, you know, mistakes and things they've said or done wrong. I feel like it's like a common theme now, like that people are afraid to speak their mind. But I realize like I said, I can't be afraid to just, I'm an intense woman. Like I'm intense. Like I work really hard. I'm intense, you know, and I feel like a lot of my life, I kind of like hid that to myself. Like I was, like in my room doing these workouts, like by myself, you know, when I lived with people, and I wasn't really, boasting about it, or I was never really open about it. I was always a very private person. But now I realize, like, if I really want to connect with the people that are meant to be in my life, I need to just like be open about who I am, even if I risk offending people. Like maybe there are people who are pissed at me and that think I'm like an arrogant bitch that I'm trying to show off or something, you know? I'm sure I did come across that way to some people. But the fact that like a decent amount of people reached out to me and were like, I started running again. I'm doing HIIT cardio again. Hey, they came, Instagram messaged me and were like, you know, I had my one good friend who's like, hey, I just tried a 7-day HIIT challenge. And my one girlfriend, she said, oh my God, I'm so inspired. Like I'm going to do a 30-day challenge in January. Like it. And so it just goes to show, of course, you're not going to align with everybody and you're not going to jive with everybody, but by lifting yourself up and putting yourself out there in a great way, by showing that you're not afraid to be great, you then give the permission for other people to then also be great and not be afraid to be great. So inspiration is so important. I think as a species, we are not separate. We are all one. And in order for society to be better, you need to be better. Change starts within you. You don't have the power to change people, but you have the power to change yourself. So by me taking care of myself, I am then showing other people that they have the right to take care of themselves too. And then the cycle continues, and then society gets better. And like I said, of course, there's going to be those cunts who just want to complain and be mad or jealous or angry at people who are trying to better themselves, whatever. But that got a little bit dark. Let's have a drink to that. There's going to be cunts, of course, but that really shouldn't stop me or you or anybody else from achieving greatness and being the best you can possibly be, you know? So I don't know. I hope my intentions were not to upset people or make people jealous or insecure. My intentions were to inspire people and to be the best person I can possibly be, and hopefully connect with other people who want to raise the bar with me as well. So anyway, I'm actually going to end the podcast here. I'm actually really shocked how long this podcast went for. I'm going to have to edit some things out because I was just saying at the beginning of the podcast how I want to start not editing things out. There are going to be, I'm just warning you guys now, if you saw a lot of jump cuts, it's because my voice feels really sore. I have a really bad habit of talking too loud. Now I'm going to talk quieter. I have a bad habit of talking too loud when I'm podcasting. And by the end of the podcast, my voice is shit. So there was a lot of times during the podcast where I had to clear my voice which is actually bad for your voice. I know that because I study voice. You're not supposed to clear your voice when your voice hurts, but like, it's just a habit I have to learn how to break. But this was a learning lesson for me in a solo podcast because you don't have any vocal rest. You're constantly talking. So for the next solo podcast, I'm going to have to talk a little more sultry and seductive like this so that I don't crap my voice out. But yeah, so I don't want to do those jump cut things anymore, but this episode will be an exception because my voice crapped out a lot during it. So I'm going to have to edit out the coughing fits and the clearing my throat and stuff like that. So I don't think you guys, I think you guys want to see my flaws and the awkward silences. I think you guys actually do want to see that, but I'm pretty sure you don't want to see coughing fits every 10 minutes. So I'm not going to put you guys through that. So don't mind the jump cuts in this particular episode. Next episode, I'm going to work on my vocal speaking technique so we don't have any more issues anymore. And maybe I'll also work on making the episodes a little shorter because if I'm talking for an hour straight by myself, it's no wonder my voice starts to feel sore. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is my first solo podcast. So I don't know if you guys liked it. Definitely leave me your feedback in the comment section below. The next time I do a solo podcast, I'm going to accept a question and answer. So if you have a question for me, question and answer, it could be about anything about me. It could be about fitness, comedy, music, nutrition, my personal life. You can ask me some offensive personal questions and I would love to, try to answer those for you. I had a lot of fun doing this besides the fact that my voice is really sore now, but it is the holiday season, so I won't be teaching this week. So thank God I could rest my voice. Yeah, I hope you guys had fun. I had a lot of fun, and let's get our glass of wine. And this is Christmas Eve. This is going to be out on Christmas Eve, so that means tomorrow is going to be Christmas. So enjoy your Christmas tree, your money tree if you have one. You got to make some money in 2021. And don't forget to hit subscribe and like and comment, and we will see you soon for the next episode of the Pranzata Podcast. We're going to change that name soon. I'll explain more why in the next episode. Cheers, guys. Have a Merry Christmas. See you soon.